Welcome to Meet the Association, the show that introduces you to the leading associations committed to serving the needs of its members. Let's meet today's association. Welcome to Meet the Association. I'm Corey Mosley, your host for today's show. Associations play a vital role in shaping our world, connecting professionals, sharing knowledge, and representing the interests of countless industries and causes. In every sector, from healthcare to technology to the arts, associations are the backbone, advocating for their members, influencing policy, and empowering professionals. Today, I am thrilled to be joined by Rich Stroiney, CEO and Chairman of the Board of Trustees for the American Association of Franchisees and Dealers, an association that has been empowering the collective strength of franchisees for more than 30 years. Rich, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Corey. Great to see you again.
Absolutely. Well, I want to just jump right in. AAFD, let's start by telling our viewers what that association is.
So the American Association of Franchisees and Dealers, AAFD, is an organization that helps to manage groups of franchisees in the same franchise system. For example, I come from the B&I side. I was a B&I franchise owner for many years. I was part of the B&I Franchisee Association, and AFD helped us manage our association at that time. We didn't have to think about what to do, how to do it. They provided the infrastructure and support that we needed so that we could focus on our business.
And when I think about, historically, as I opened the show, more than 30 years as an association, what was the history? What's the story behind the founding and need for an AAFD?
So the challenge oftentimes in contractual relationships, which franchising is, and that's our bread and butter area, is that you have to live to a contract. And oftentimes there's a party that has a little more influence or power in a contract than the other, typically the organization that produces rights and manages the contract. Early on, Bob Pervin, one of our founders over 30 years ago, found the need to start an organization where the franchisees needed a little bit more of a voice in the franchising industry. And that's how the AFD came about, to give that voice and to support the franchisee rights as it pertains to rules, regulations, law, and contractual obligations, of course.
So when we think about that, particularly these areas of advocacy, which is a big, cornerstone of associations like yours, what are some of those areas where you have had to get involved in or had to, triumph in these areas when you are advocating for your members?
A lot of time our advocacy takes the form of guiding them through the process of who to speak to, how to go about speaking in a way that could be heard effectively, whether it's through legislator, through their franchisor, or even some of their local lawmakers, but also helping them understand that there are resources available to them. Our footprint is pretty vast in terms of the types of franchise systems we engage with. So we've seen a lot of different ways that franchise associations can be successful, can advocate for their rights, and we provide that guidance and that expertise so that they can move forward effectively, whether through their own voice or, if necessary, through a legal voice.
Okay. And when we think about this, help our viewers understand kind of how the AFD breaks down, because there's obviously a membership component, meaning I am part of a franchise system. I'm a franchisee with a organization. I would be a member, but then you have your partners. And then, am I understanding correctly, there's a whole facet of the area of the AFD where you help form or run other franchisee associations?
Yeah, so as you touched on, right, the core of how we operate as a nonprofit organization or not-for-profit organization is the membership side of what we do. So we are a membership organization, and that membership is based on the franchisees who become members of their particular franchise system association in this term, much like the example I gave earlier. Also within the AFD, we provide access to suppliers. So we have a healthcare component. We have insurances. I'll use an example, pet insurance. We provide opportunities there. Again, healthcare is a huge one. because the open market can be very expensive and we provide different solutions depending on the business type and business ownership. We also have advocacy opportunities or opportunities within our umbrella for legislative support. One of our key trustees, Keith Miller, he's our director of legislative efforts, and he is constantly going to DC, engaging with legislators, politicians, FCC, various organizations that the franchisees would need a voice in or to be heard from. And then we also have our legal line, which gives access to our members to nationally renowned franchisee attorneys that can help advise and support based on legal or contractual issues. Not always about lawsuits. Sometimes it's just understanding their contract better and guiding through the process of engaging with their franchisor.
And do you feel, I'm curious, your thoughts on this, when you think about leading the association, do you feel that it's a blend or a combination of using your experience and some of the attorneys and people that you work with to understand some of the issues proactively, as well as respond to what you view are the needs of your members?
I think that highlights a key, I'll call it key credibility factor for the AFD is, number one, Bob Pervin is an attorney. He helped form it 30 years ago, has been focused on the legal advocacy, right? Very much that legal side. Keith Miller has been involved with us for many years on the legislative side. Even his own business is focused on that as a franchisee himself. And I've been a franchisee and I am still a franchisee. So I have that franchisee business view in mind. So I think between the three of us, we cover some of those key components to better understand the needs and challenges of franchisees within the industry. And I think it also sets us up for a better opportunity to help understand how to engage franchisors to be more successful with their franchisees.
Okay.
It's not just about the contract.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, and there's a lot of opportunity for help, right? For people getting help. Now, the opposite side of that is someone who says, oh, well, you know what? Why do I need to pay an association? Why can't I just, advocate for myself? What do you say to those people?
Well, I think you should always advocate for yourself. What we found, and again, through 30 years of learning how to do this better and better every day, is that as we form a shared voice, it becomes a much more powerful voice, right? Me individually going to my franchisor saying, I have a concern, an issue, a challenge with this franchise agreement is going to be very different than 20, 30, 40, 50. Some groups of ours are over 200 franchisees going to the franchisor saying, we really want to make this better. How can we help you, the franchisor, make it better? And I think that changes the nature of the dialogue and also changes the value of the voice that the franchisees could have in that arena.
Okay, that actually makes a lot of sense. And I want to pivot to this idea or kind of back to the AFD, managing an association. What types of businesses, would want an AFD to kind of manage their association and why?
Well, we focus solely on franchisees. So any franchisee or any franchise-based system are the key customers that we focus on, again, because of our experience and our credibility. And I do want to go back to the other component of the question you asked, which was, well, why can't I just do it myself? Mm-hmm. I could, Rich Stroiney, start my own association, but in essence, that's running another business to do it correctly. And if I'm focused on my franchise, I shouldn't have to run even another business to try and improve my franchise. Yeah. And where we come into play is having that knowledge and expertise of how to form boards of directors and bylaws and the mechanisms to collect funds for the chapters and distribute those funds, whether as a chapter level or, to pay attorneys. And what we find is that the shared services we provide also adds a tremendous value. So it takes a lot of the pressure off of the individual franchisee.
No, okay. So I think I'm seeing kind of the collective piece go together. Mm-hmm. When you think about success, let's kind of look at that, right? And you've been head of the organization for how long?
Just over 3 years now.
Okay. So when you think about success or the definition of that, how are you defining success for your members and the association itself?
Well, I think the first step, and this comes from my business coaching background, the first step of defining success is what are they trying to achieve with forming the association, right? And that's one of the first questions we ask is, what is it you're really looking to do? If it's just legal action, you could do that without us, right? That's not the basis of what we really want to do in our core focus. Our focus is come up with that shared voice, because in that shared voice, you as a chapter can define what you see as that success criteria for your chapter, whether it's just shared business knowledge, it could be a stronger voice with the franchisor. It could even be just better understand your agreement. There's a lot of different things. For me, I define success for our chapters in how can they better engage with the franchisor to have an open, honest, valuable dialogue that can move the needle of success for both organizations. Because at the end of the day, if the franchisee itself is successful, the franchisor, by the very nature of how it operates, would be successful.
In terms of membership, so advocacy was a big role. We've talked about that. Association management is another area. You touched a little bit on things like healthcare, and pet insurance, which I thought was a very interesting one. And I think that's about taking the collective, right, membership base and being able to negotiate, lower rates and create more value there. What are some of the other benefits that, while we have a few moments left, that you want to talk about relative to, things that you're providing outside of the management and the legal advocacy?
So I think the value add remains that voice where they can share knowledge. Again, I always go back to my business coach, right? Me sharing with other franchisors how I can be successful or the mistakes I made is a huge value. And I think we as individual business owners forget that it's okay to share our pains and the things that are working well. I think there's other opportunities within the AFD for services, but we also tailor that to our members, right? If we have an organization that is looking for buying power with a certain supplier that falls outside of their franchise agreement, and just making that clear, we're not looking to compete with the franchisor, but if there's something that falls outside that franchisor agreement that they need help with, like we'll just say cleaning supplies for a home care organization, we can help with that. And again, it may not just be that franchise system. It may go to the pet care franchisees that we support, or the other brick and mortar type places that obviously have to clean their facilities. And I think that's where we can provide a lot of value, but we also look to our members to help us understand that, right? We have the ability and capability to define how we can help them. We need them to share that with us in the bigger picture. And I think that's where our flexibility lies.
And I think it's perfect. I think it's a perfect lead into kind of my last question before we wrap up, is, one of the reasons why people turn to the franchise system is for the greater safety of success or predictability of success, right? When you think about evaluation, how do you evaluate a franchisor for the associations that you support?
So obviously the feedback from the franchisees is critical. And with that, with any feedback, you're going to get the anger, the frustration, the emotional response, both good and bad, I'll say it that way. And you also get the things that are working really well. I think that's one of the key indicators, because that's the boots on the ground feedback from the franchisees. We also have a AFD Fair Franchising set of standards that we use. It was something published by Bob Pervin and a group of franchisees, franchisors, and franchise industry attorneys many years ago that we leveraged to evaluate contracts that franchisors provide to their franchisees. And with that, depending on how it's evaluated and how it's scored, the franchisor can earn an AFD seal related to that, which then goes, I'll say it's similar to the Better Business Bureau seal of approval. It's similar to that, but it's from purely a franchising view and how they operate as a franchisor. And that's something that we've had available for many years now. But it comes down to those fair franchising standards that were developed from a cross-section of the industry. It wasn't just from us, the AFD, or it wasn't just from franchisees. It was from the industry, which I think is a great footprint or groundwork for success and understanding how valuable that franchise system can be for both parties.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Rich, we are going to leave it there. I want to thank you for the work that you're doing, the advocacy work, and just everything that the AAFD is doing to support those franchisees out there. And thank you for joining us on the show today.
No, I appreciate this, Corey, and good luck, and looking forward to seeing the other associations that you speak with.
Absolutely. For more information on the great work that AAFD is doing, please visit them online at aafd.org. This has been another episode of Meet the Association, the show where we introduce you to the leaders of the most impactful associations, those driving change, supporting industries, and building strong communities across the nation. I'm Corey Mosley, and I will see you next time. Thanks for watching Meet the Association, an exclusive interview series produced by Thought Leadership Studios, a Mosley Strategy Group brand.